I went to a friend's house for coffee, and her daughter was sadly terminal. She was living in the the dining room of their home in a hospital bed. There was a folding metal chair, and she was really surrounded by mountains of medical equipment, supplies. And it was quite chaotic, and I could see my friend struggling, and she needed some help figuring out how to make her life work for her. So I stayed with her for a week or so and said I helped paint the walls and talk to the nurse and figure out like what equipment she needed where and what the activities of daily life were. And I started taking some before and after pictures and started sharing story with friends. And then another friend asked for help, and another friend asked for help, and a business was born.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Sound Waves, powered by Sound Cove Labs. I'm Rob Petrosh in Greenwich, Connecticut, the founder of Sound Cove Labs. We've got another great episode for you today. We are heading down to Virginia. We have Linda Ryder, the founder of Cut the Clutter, RVA, or Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Hi, Robert. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining us. So let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
What inspired the founding of Cut the Clutter?
Well, it's not a typical start. I went to a friend's house for coffee, and her daughter was sadly terminal. She was living in the dining room of their home in a hospital bed. There was a folding metal chair, and she was really surrounded by mountains of medical equipment, supplies. And it was quite chaotic, and I could see my friend struggling, and she needed some help figuring out how to make her life work for her. So I stayed with her for a week or so and said I helped paint the walls and talk to the nurse and figure out like what equipment she needed where and what the activities of daily life were. And I started taking some before and after pictures and started sharing story with friends. And then another friend asked for help, and another friend asked for help, and a business was born. So it came out of love.
That's an amazing story. And what was the impact you saw immediately from the changes you made?
There was hope. The room became a place for people to come and visit and enjoy and spend time and love. And honestly, at the end of that 2 weeks, my friend's husband came to me and said, thank you for helping my wife with this part, but you can see the rest of the house needs some help as well. Can you stay and work a little bit more? Can you help us more? And I said, sure. My kids were at the time in middle school, so they were in school for the day, so I had a little bit of free time while they were away, and that is how I chose to spend the days. And I didn't really know that I was building a business in that moment. I was just really trying to serve someone who was hurting, and through it I started to realize all of the opportunities and how lacking this service is in our communities.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the best way to start is just seeing the need and going for it. And yeah, I love the story. I love that you're doing good in the world, and it's a great start. And did you have a background in any sort of organization? I know as a very, very disorganized person, I crave the services you provide, but did you have a background there?
Not necessarily. I've always been a little bit of a homebody. I love to make a house a home and like make things just work, and everything has a place. But really, I'm a puzzle solver, right? I love to like find all the different pieces and put them together and make them work for people. And it was funny. My husband was, as I said, my kids were in middle school, and my husband was like, "Oh, it's time for you to go back to work." And I wasn't excited about the idea of being away from the family from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 and potentially traveling again. So I told him I would keep helping friends while I looked for a real job. And it turned out this is the real job. 7 years later, and I've got a team of 20 ladies on my team.
20, amazing. And how coverage map wise, how much of the state do you cover, or do you go beyond the state of Virginia?
Oh, I love that you asked that. Currently, we are just in Richmond. So we have truly found a need in our hometown, and we have grown there. Sometimes we'll go 60, 90 miles radius, but right now we are just a local small business We are contemplating what it would look like to franchise and to create different locations, but right now we are serving our community.
And in a world of organizing services, which has become more popular, I believe that Netflix either show
The home
or
edit, yes.
yeah, home edit, and there was someone else as well who was who had a show, I believe. But
Hmm.
it's I feel like the conversation of the last couple of years has become more prevalent, which is great for your business overall. I guess what's your unique edge, or what's your secret sauce in? I don't want to say a crowded space, but there's definitely competition, right?
Yeah, we probably have, there's probably three or four that are larger businesses. The rest are small, one or two people teams. I think it's our ability to tell a story. It's also how we love our clients and take care of them. What started out simply as organizing has now grown into organizing, decluttering, downsizing, packing, unpacking, and even most recently, move management. So really, as we're in a home and we start to look and see what the challenges are where people are feeling paralyzed, we lean into that instead of saying, that's a little bit out of our reach. We lean in and say, well, how can we solve this problem for you? How can we help you get across this next hurdle? So that has been the evolution of how we've grown, is just like leaning into the next need of the people that we're serving. The other part is, whenever you look at something like the home edit, you think everything is Pinterest perfect, right? Color organized, all of that, forget about it. That's beautiful, but we do that very rarely. It is more about making a space functionally perfect for a person versus Pinterest perfect. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And when you look at a job, I think about clutter in our house, and one area we always struggle with is I don't know if I can throw it away right now, or you just struggle sometimes. It's either memories or I might
Mhm.
need it in the future. Do you have a mantra, or how do you talk to an owner about something that may look on the surface like not much, but it may mean a lot to them and the potential of getting rid of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we do deal with that a lot. Sometimes for the things I might use it later, we'll ask, when was the last time you used it? And if you need it later, how much is it going to cost you to go get that item? Right? Because that thing is taking up space in your brain, in your environment. But on the other hand, if you're not using it and there's someone else in our community that can use it, we're big advocates of getting it into the hands of the people who need it most. I will say that's probably one of the other secrets to our sauce is that we have probably 40 to 50 donation partners within our community. So whether it is quilting material, we work with the Quilters Guild, we work with Habitat for Humanity, and then we even work with smaller nonprofits like Mercy Mall, who supply the basic needs to those who need to be stabilized because they're in a crisis state of mind. So that is definitely one of the things that allows us to kind of shift that perspective. Maybe you're not using it now, but we can really serve someone else in our community. And we do our donation deliveries for free. So whenever we're done with the session, we take those things to the person who needs them. So it kind of like shifts that mindset. And the other part of it for the sentimental stuff, say you're looking at an attic and you've got, your grandmother's china, silverware, all of these things up there. Are they really serving your grandmother? Are they serving her memory well? If you take maybe one of the teacups and put it in a prominent place, where you can see it and give a nod to grandma when you walk by, then you give the rest away. Now you're letting her legacy live on by serving someone else, and you get to still see her daily. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the I guess the solution to the problems of how do I let go and how am I still respecting and loving the same from someone else.
I love that approach.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears a little bit to, you grew your business over 7 years. That's
Mhm.
amazing. How do you find most of your clients in 2025? Is it social media, Google, Instagram, Facebook, real estate partners? How are you finding
Yes.
majority of your clients?
A lot of ours, I would say 30 to 40% of our business is referral based. The rest comes, originally, it was built primarily through Facebook and Instagram. It was just sharing the story at the end of every day. Now we pay for Google Ads. We're talking about SEO and how that will affect our bottom line and if that's our next step. But referrals and word of mouth is definitely a big part of our.
Yeah, a lot of our founders have had so much success with SEO, and the one thing that everyone needs to start thinking about is AI search as well, because
Yeah.
people are starting with Chat GPT going, I have clutter in my house. What do I do? And they're looking for tips. And so being found in there is really important as well. And we're
Yeah.
coaching a lot of clients. So something for you to consider and for our audience is don't just think SEO, think AI search as well.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is definitely something that's on our. We're having conversations about that right now.
Nice. What's the one outside of SEO? Is there any other areas of marketing that you haven't done or you've considered or you'd like to do to grow as you grow? I'm sure referrals are wonderful, but you got to keep filling the funnel.
You've got to keep filling that bucket. I mean, so far Google Ads has taken care of us, and it's allowed us probably a 10 to 15% year over year revenue increase, which has been fantastic. But now we're kind of getting to the point where the goals are increasing, so we're trying to figure out where the remainder of those leads coming from. I am definitely I take small steps to make sure it works and fits our model and kind of perfect it, and then I move on to the next one. So I love the idea of AI SEO, kind of like how that works together, because I believe that you're absolutely right. The AI searches and establishing yourself as the expert in your field and in your community is really where that starts from, right?
And on that note, I believe actually your business is really well suited for this, but how much content marketing have you done? Because you giving quick, I mean, it's so natural. It's not even funny about giving quick tips, a quick TikTok video, a tip of the day.
Yeah.
Have you done that? That's a great way to build trust. And eventually when they need you, they call you.
Well, like many business owners, I don't always love being in front of the camera. So we've tried TikToks and I've tried to hire certain people to do that for me. And while they're good at what they do, they don't have my voice. And so that always kind of hinders me a little bit. I want perfection in that realm. Our content marketing, we do have a lively blog that goes out. We have a great content calendar where we plan everything out probably 2 to 3 months in advance. And I've hired someone who like helps me post all of that. We do have a YouTube channel, so that's more towards the downsizing and the move management. So we do have little pockets and different channels of what we do. And I am trying to be more comfortable and confident with getting behind the camera for TikToks and those quick tips and figuring out how to make all of that work. I do think that sometimes, it's hard as a business owner to work on the business and not in the business. And so that's kind of one of the struggles with a little bit of the content.
Okay. No, that's great. And like I said, I think your approach is the right one, but your voice is important. And so I completely understand that. Let's talk a little bit about the service process. So walk us through your client journey from an inquiry to a consult to the project to the aftercare. Where do you feel there's the most magic and and then on the other side, where's the most friction in your process from inquiry to finishing the job?
Okay. So our process starts, typically people find us online, Facebook, they'll read something about us. They call in, we set up an in-home consultation, usually lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. There's something really powerful about walking into someone's house and starting to assess their situation, asking very pointed questions to understand their plans, their goals, and then to be able to create a functional path forward. So after the consultation, we schedule the job for another part of our team. So we've got 3 people on our sales team, probably 4 people that kind of fill in. So 4 people on our sales team, they go out, meet the clients, do all of the intake, assess supplies, the length of time the project's going to take, any coordinating partners that we may need for like junk removal or large donation pickups. Then our team comes in and they perform the actual work. So at the consultation, we're also taking pictures, taking notes, and then we have a shared database where everybody can review that information ahead of time. So it feels almost seamless for the team to come in and start doing the job at hand. After we're done with that, like if we're done in one day, that's fantastic. Sometimes jobs will take 2 or 3 days, depending on the size and need. We try to always keep the same team on the job. We do have a flexible schedule, so that can alter a little bit, so that can be one of our trip up points. And then afterwards, we'll call and check back and just make sure how everything's still going. Are they still enjoying their space? Did they find any challenges that we set up that maybe aren't working the way they needed? I will say that there is magic in typically the first day of work with people. It's hard to call and ask for help, especially in a space where we're often judged. Fair? So for someone to call us and ask for help, that's a really big deal. We really try to honor, respect them, and love them through the process. And usually at the end of the first day, there is this deep exhale, and for us, that's the magic. That's when we know that we've crossed this invisible line of trust, and that people have bought in and they get it and they understand it and they want more, and then they can really focus on the things that set them on fire, and they can live their best life, and we call it play for a day.
And where is there friction or areas you'd love to automate or make a little easier for the company?
Yeah, so scheduling and team availability is always a little bit of friction. I know all business owners get that supply and demand is always hard, and like, especially in service, you're only as busy as the people that are calling you. And so I will say that is our biggest struggle. In some people will want to work 5 days a week, but other team members only want to work 2 or 3 days a week. So it really depends on the availability of the client and what we call our clutter cutters. We're clutter cutters. I'm the chief clutter cutter. So we have a lot of fun with that, but that is probably one of our biggest challenges, is just the team consistency across the board with the exact same client. We usually keep at least one person that's always consistent, but that's definitely a challenge. And I would say the other part is the clients who are still struggling with that sentimental need to not let go. They think they want the help, but sometimes you get in there and they're like, oh, I didn't really mean that.
Right. What's the typical objection you typically hear when you're trying to close a project?
Price. I need to talk to my husband. I need to talk to my partner. 95% of the time it's not an issue, but there are times when it's, oh, that's a lot. And I honestly tell people we're not a cheap date, but we are well worth what we provide and the peace of mind that comes with it. So that is, I feel like the right clients are going to find you. We serve about 20 homes a week, so I feel like we're in line. We're not the highest person in town, most expensive, but we're definitely not the least expensive either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. On a scale of 1 to 10, one actually is, yeah, like 1 to robot takeover. How automated are your internal operations when you think about scheduling, payments, job photos, client reports? What's the automation like there? A lot of our founders in home services are really trying to, use AI in that area. I'm curious if you're taking any steps there.
Instead of AI, I have a lady named Donna on my team. She is so process driven. Between Donna and Gretchen, that part has been beautiful. We use House Call Pro, which is a app you can, what's the word I'm looking for, subscribe to, I suppose. And that really helps automate all of our billing, all of our scheduling, all of it takes care of all of our sorry, I'm struggling for words right now. All of our database management, right? And it allows us to see who is scheduled where, but it does have limitations in terms of when you have 20 people on your team, right? And everybody has different flexibility, availability. It doesn't allow you to necessarily see who's available, who's not. So we work with Airtable as a backup for keeping all of that information straight. So Airtable and House Call Pro are our two platforms. Getting them to talk to one another would be amazing and make life so much easier, but House Call Pro doesn't communicate out well with other systems. So definitely technology in terms of making everything talk together is one of our biggest challenges.
Okay, yeah, we've
Yeah,
definitely talking to of different applications is always a challenge, always comes up.
it really is.
When you think about growth opportunities, what's the biggest growth lever you see for Cut the Clutter in the next 12 months?
Continuing to lean into move management and the downsizing. We have seen a huge uptake in the boomer generation who's moving into senior living communities. And that market is wide open in terms of the services that surround it. And a lot we've learned is a lot of these people have been in their homes 30, 40 years, right? So they're not familiar with the moving process anymore. They're not familiar with the services that surround it. So for us being able to identify and connect all of the parts and pieces together has turned out to be this enormous need that we didn't realize was there. So typically we would go in and declutter, pack and unpack, right? But what we've learned in the process is the overwhelm of the order of operations and what should start when is paralyzing. So that is definitely one of the service areas that we're leaning into is just the project management of all the work that has to be done, the supportive services that hold people accountable and get them across the finish line.
And flipping the question, and you touched on it earlier a little bit, but what's the biggest constraint or area of chaos that you need to get under control so you can scale? Is it systems, training?
Systems. Systems, 100%. Honestly, sometimes the biggest question is when do I hire next, right? Because you can go into a flux where, like, I want to say early October, we were so far ahead of where we thought we were going to be that month. We're booking everybody every single day, but then you go into the first week of November and it's crickets. So it's kind of like, you want to bring on those people so you're prepared, but then am I really ready? Because you're kind of taking responsibility for feeding that person that you've brought onto your team, and you've got to really be confident that you have the work there. So then the marketing and the SEO and the AI question comes up. It's a fun little circle.
It does not stop. We understand. Well, before we close, if you were to give a quick tip to any business owner or potential business owner in the service space, what tip would you give before they started on this journey?
I would say understand your why. Like, understand why you want to do this and what you're hoping to accomplish. And I feel like when your why is clear, the right people, team, and clients will find you. And then my next best advice would be to take care of your team. The people that you find, empower them, trust them, listen to them. They will take care of you, and they often see blind spots that you're not looking for because you have a certain set of glasses on and they're seeing a different perspective. And I always say that I don't like to be the smartest person in the room. Like, I want to be around people that are challenging me and testing me so we can grow together and really figure out what the next steps are.
I love that. Great advice. For our listeners who are inspired by your work or in the Richmond area, how can they reach you?
They can check out our website at cuttheclutterrva.com, and they can find us on all of our socials, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, with the same handle, Cut the Clutter RVA.
Great. Well, Linda, it's been a pleasure having you on. We really appreciate it. And we wish you the best of luck as well.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been watching your podcast, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And thanks to all of our listeners, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.